If your body is really sensitive to temperature changes, and especially if your body kind of sucks at regulating your body temperature overnight, that can really wreck your sleep and ultimately the amount of rest that you're actually getting while you're supposed to be asleep. And you could adjust the thermostat for the entire house, but that isn't necessarily going to have as much of an effect in your bedroom as you might hope. Plus, that's going to affect your electric bill by the end of the month. Bed air conditioners are designed to keep you cool and comfy or warm and toasty if that's what you need. And it really affects only your bed and, your mattress, the area where you are sleeping, completely independent from whatever the ambient temperature of the room is. So it costs less to run, but you're also feeling those climate effects directly on your body while you're in bed. Some bed air conditioners actually do use air to control the climate of your bed surface, while others actually use water. And depending on the features and functionality that you're looking for, they are not all perfect for everyone. So I'm going to walk you through all of my best recommendations, and I'll tell you all about how they control your sleep climate, what makes them a good choice, and the pros and cons to consider before you invest in any of them. One thing I am going to mention right now, when you're somebody who needs a cool bed at night and your room is warmer, whether you just don't have air conditioning or your room is just warmer for some reason, bed air conditioners that use actual air are going to be less effective than those that use water. And I'll explain more as we go into the products, specifically one by one. But most climate control systems for your bed or mattress, they use air, but they don't have a refrigerant. So it doesn't work quite like an air conditioner would, where that air is going through something that is going to make it colder. Most air-based systems really can only get as cool as the ambient temperature of the room. So that is something to consider when you're looking for a climate control system for your bed or a bed air conditioner. If you're somebody who needs a really cool or even borderline ice cold bed and your room is normally warm, you don't have air conditioning, you don't have fans, or maybe the airflow in your room just sucks, you're going to want to look more at the water-based systems versus the air-based systems. My top recommendation in terms of functionality and effectiveness is the 8 Sleep system. To be fair, this is the most expensive option that we're going to talk about today, but given what it can do and how much it offers in terms of not just climate control, but also sleep-related data, I think it's worth the investment. I have a Pod 4 on my bed right now. The Pod 5 versions came out earlier in 2025. But the way that the 8 Sleep works, it involves a cover that goes over your mattress, and it covers the entire mattress and goes down over the side, basically like a really big fitted sheet. Inside that cover, there are water channels, and you don't feel these. You don't even know they're there. You can't feel the water rushing through, but it conducts the climate control whether you need your bed warm or cool. The 8 Sleep climate ranges from about 55 degrees Fahrenheit all the way to 110 degrees Fahrenheit. So it gives you a really wide temperature range. Dual zone control is included. So if you share your bed with a partner, your side of the bed can be set to 65 degrees. Their side of the bed could be set to 85 degrees, and you both have a climate that's perfect for you. It operates completely independently from the ambient room temperature. So even if your room is warm and you need your sleep surface to be cool, it's going to get it done. There were nights over the summer where my bedroom was probably about 80 degrees and it was completely comfortable and I was cool. My room was warm and I slept like a baby. But because the 8 Sleep doesn't use air to conduct the climate control, it actually can get cool even if your room is warm. Now, it is a little weird to get used to in the beginning. I'm not going to lie. It's very strange to lay on a cool mattress that stays cool, that's not absorbing your body heat in any way. It physically feels cool throughout the entire night. Plus, you can have your blankets over your body and you're still not getting hot. It's a little strange, but in a good way. And because the 8 Sleep Pod cover is pretty thin, it doesn't actually change the way that your existing mattress feels. So whether it's softer or firmer or somewhere in between, your mattress is going to feel like your mattress, but cooler or warmer, depending on how you have it set. But beyond the climate control, the 8 Sleep also offers a lot in terms of sleep tracking. So every night you wake up in the morning and it gives you a full report of how well you slept, including an actual sleep grade. Like, it'll grade you on your sleep, but it'll tell you how long you slept, how long you were in the various sleep cycles, what your heart rate was like, your breath rate, even whether or not you snored. But the most brilliant part of the 8 Sleep is the automation. 8 Sleep's autopilot self-adjusts the temperature of your sleep surface based on what your body is doing while you're asleep. So if your temperature is rising or you're in different sleep cycles throughout the night, it self-adjusts to promote the best night of sleep. And all of this happens while you're asleep. You're never even aware of it happening until in the morning, when it'll tell you how many adjustments it made over the course of the night, along with the other data that it gives you. And all of that gives you deeper insight into your rest. The only real drawback to the 8 Sleep is that the automation requires the autopilot subscription, which is separate from the purchase. It's not super expensive, but it is something to consider. It's an annual subscription, but to enjoy the complete functionality of what 8 Sleep has to offer, it's definitely worth it. I've been using my Pod 4 for several months now, and I can't imagine sleeping without it at this point. I deal with hot flashes, menopause related, night sweats, hot flashes, the whole 9 yards. But the 8 Sleep has actually made it possible for me to get decent rest, which is something I didn't realize I was lacking as much as I was until I started using it. Along the lines of the 8 Sleep, the ChiliPad from Sleep Me is another option that uses water to conduct all of the climate control along the surface of your mattress. It uses a mattress pad that tucks over your mattress, not quite as fully as the 8 Sleeps does, but close enough. It'll stay in place. But the air conditioning with this one runs from about 55 degrees Fahrenheit up to 115 degrees Fahrenheit. So if you need a bed that gets extra toasty, the ChiliPad does get a little bit warmer. The one thing that the ChiliPad offers that the 8 Sleep does not, at least currently, is half sizes. So you can get a ChiliPad that offers dual zone control the same way that the 8 Sleep does, where, both sides of the bed have their own separate climates. But the ChiliPad is available in half bed sizes. So if only one person needs climate control, you can get a less expensive half size for one half of the mattress. But it works pretty similarly to the 8 Sleep as far as, the mattress pad, the hub that runs everything, and the water that flows through the pad and conducts the climate control. Now, I've used a ChiliPad Cube. I tested that out for a while, and it's okay. In my case, I could feel the water channels inside of the pad that goes on the mattress. They were pretty obvious to me. I'm very sensitive to textures and things like that, so I'm kind of hyper aware of anything that feels weird or different. Other models of the ChiliPad, like the ChiliPad Dock Pro, it's a little thicker. It's a little more like 8 Sleeps, probably a little more comfortable in terms of not feeling those water channels. Another thing to point out too is that the sleep tracking isn't quite as in-depth with Sleep Me's app versus 8 sleeps. You can schedule temperature adjustments and things through the app, but it isn't really going to happen automatically the way that 8 sleeps does. And the ChiliPad works with Google Assistant, so you can tell it to adjust the climate, and that part's actually pretty cool. And while the 8 sleep offers dual zone control automatically, ChiliPad doesn't. You have to make sure that you select the Wii model that's going to have dual zone control, and then each side of it has its own separate base unit that runs the climate control for each side of the bed. So it's a little bit clunkier, maybe a little more hassle, but for the most part, it works pretty similarly to the 8 sleep. I still think the 8 sleep is better, especially for like a water-based system. That's still my top pick, but the ChiliPad is a little less expensive, not by much though. If you would rather avoid a water-based system altogether, the Perfectly Snug Smart Topper is a good option. This is a thicker mattress pad that's going to sit on your bed. It basically has a fan in each corner of the mattress topper, and it blows air throughout the entire surface. It offers single zone control for twin or full beds, or dual zone control for queen and king size beds. So you do have the option, if you share a bed, to have that dual zone control as long as your bed is large enough. I think the best thing about the Perfectly Snug is the ease of setup, because there's really not much to it. You take it out of the package, flop it onto your bed, plug it in, and it's good to go. The control panel's right on the side. So it's all very, very simple, pretty straightforward. There's not a lot that goes into it. That said, this is an air-based system. So the air that blows through the mattress pad really isn't going to get any cooler than the temperature of your bedroom. And the pad is pretty thick, which you might be looking for if you're looking to change the way that your mattress physically feels. This is sort of like a medium firm texture, but the pad itself, it's a hefty mattress pad. So if you like the way that your existing mattress feels and you don't want that to change, this one might not be the best option for that. But overall, this isn't a bad option when you're looking for something that's a little more budget friendly, doesn't use water, doesn't require an app or anything to use, and you don't need sleep tracking, because that's another thing with the Perfectly Snug. There's no app, there's no sleep tracking, there's no data. It's just you plop it on your bed, turn it on, and you manually control the temperature however you need, however often you need to. But in terms of simplicity, it is a really simple solution if it'll work for you. Another option that uses air is the BedJet, which can be effective for some. I've tested this out myself. I wasn't super impressed as far as my needs, but I needed more than the BedJet was able to offer. So, a lot of that is subjective. The BedJet is another climate control system that uses forced air. The biggest difference with this is there is no mattress topper that comes with it. It basically features a fan base, a really thick tube, and then a vent that comes up over the side of your mattress and blows air underneath your fitted sheet. So you'll have that cooler air coming through, and that's good for cooling and also moisture evaporation if you're a night sweater. It's pretty quick to set up. I had mine together in about 15 minutes or so, and it's really, really simple to use. There is an app available as far as, controlling it, turning it on and off, setting the temperature. In my experience, the majority of the climate control was from about the waist down, like up around my shoulders. I really wasn't feeling a lot of climate control. It's really good if you need warming and cooling against your feet and legs. But if you're looking for something that's going to affect your full body, this might not get that job done. The one thing that I was not a fan of as far as the BedJet, and again, this is subjective, it really comes down to the way that I sleep. I always have to have one foot hanging off of the bed. That's just how I sleep. I'm more comfortable that way. I'm not really afraid of monsters grabbing my feet in the night, apparently. But because that's also where the fan vent is, I had a habit of kicking it. I would nudge it. It was just sort of like in the way. It didn't really work all that well for me. That said, it might work well for you. If you're looking for a fan-based bed air conditioner that doesn't have a mattress cover that's going to change the way that your bed feels, the BedJet might work really well. But like other air-based systems, it can't cool the air that's going into your bed any cooler than the temperature of your room actually is. So if you have a warm bedroom and you're trying to make your bed cool, it doesn't use any sort of refrigerant. It's not like a proper air conditioner in that way. So it might not cool things down as much as you need. That said, it is very budget friendly. And that's probably the biggest benefit to this particular option. Finally, the Hydra Snooze is a product that's relatively new on the market compared to all the others that we've already talked about. Now, this is another system that uses water to conduct the climate control. You probably guessed that going by the name. It's Hydra Snooze. But if you're a cold sleeper, like a really, really cold sleeper, the climate control with the Hydra Snooze ranges from about 59 degrees Fahrenheit all the way to 131 degrees Fahrenheit. So for those of you that need the toastiest bed possible, this is the one that's going to get you there. Now, the mattress pad on this one is double-sided. So one side is designed for all-season comfort, while the other is more cooling specific. So that would be the one that you would use during the warmest months. And like the ChiliPad that we looked at earlier, the Hydra Snooze is also available in half sizes for queen and king beds. So if you only need climate control on one side of the bed, you can get a model that's only going to cover that half. Now, this is a much simpler and sort of pared down bed cooling system compared to the 8 Sleep or the Sleep Me, because there's no app connectivity. You don't need Wi-Fi to use it. There's not. All of the control is directly on the base of the unit. And the setup is pretty simple with this one. And the mattress pad is thick enough to prevent you from feeling the water tubing inside, but it's not so thick that it's going to change the way that your mattress feels. Plus, using water to conduct the climate control, it operates independently from your room's temperature. And this is the most affordable option compared to its closest competitors, which of course is the 8 Sleep and the ChiliPad. The biggest drawbacks to it, though, there is no automation in terms of the temperature control across the surface. Every adjustment that you make is going to be manual, and you're going to handle that yourself on the base of the unit. And because there's no app, there is no sensors, there's also no sleep tracking. So you don't get any data as far as, how your sleep was the night before or anything like that. So for a budget-friendly option that uses water to conduct the climate control, the Hydra Snooze is pretty decent. It doesn't come with a lot of the bells and whistles that you would get with the 8 Sleep or the ChiliPad. So it really is sort of a pared down option compared to those. So if you're not exactly sure what you need after looking at all of these, there are some things to consider when you're shopping for a bed air conditioner that'll help you make a decision. First and foremost is the cooling and heating range. Above all, that should be the most important factor to consider, because you're looking for something that's either going to warm you up or cool you down. If you run hot, you're going to want to focus on a bed air conditioner that can get as cool as possible. Ideally, the 8 Sleep or the ChiliPad, because both go down to 55 degrees Fahrenheit, which is surprisingly cold. But if you're consistently cold at night, you're going to want to look at models that get as warm as possible. Beyond the temperature range, you're also going to want to look at the climate system type, because the most effective bed air conditioners actually use water rather than air, because they can operate independently from whatever the temperature is in your room. Fan-based systems that use air, like the BedJet or the Perfectly Snug, they can only get as cool as the air is in your bedroom. Things like the 8 Sleep are going to be able to get cool because the base is physically cooling the water before it sends it through the water channels in the mattress cover. So if your room is warm all the time and you need your bed to be cool, you're going to get a lot more comfort from a water-based system. Noise level is another thing to consider. And again, the air-based systems, they use fans. They are going to be louder compared to the systems that use water. My 8 Sleep and even the ChiliPad Cube, when I was testing that out, super quiet because they're not using fans. It's all conducted by water, and the noise level from the base is pretty comparable to just a desktop computer. You could hear it if you were really listening for it, but otherwise it sort of fades into the background and you don't really notice it. The BedJet, on the other hand, and the same is true for the Perfectly Snug because that uses 4 fans, the higher you have that fan, the louder it's going to be because they're fans and fans make noise. So if you're bothered by the white noise of a fan, you're going to want to stick with a water-based system that doesn't use a fan. Smart features like app control or sleep tracking are another thing to consider if you want those. Some bed air conditioners like the 8 Sleep offer them. The 8 Sleep offers the most in terms of smart features because not only do you get the sleep tracking and all of the data, but there's the automation that controls the temperature of your sleep surface all throughout your night based on what your body's doing. That is the smartest of the smart features. So if you're looking for app connectivity, app control, and sleep tracking, you're going to want to look for models that offer those smart features. If that's not important to you, going with more pared down, simpler versions like the BedJet or the Perfectly Snug or even the Hydra Snooze might be more your speed. Finally, single or dual zone control can be important if you share your bed with somebody. And this is a bigger issue if you're looking at models of products that aren't available in half sizes. You're going to want something that offers dual zone control so your partner can have their side of the bed set however they need to for their comfort, and you can have yours set the way that you need. Now, if you sleep by yourself, you don't need the dual zone control, obviously. But if you do share your bed with somebody, that is something to consider unless you go with something that offers a half bed size. So the best bed air conditioner is subjective to a degree based on what you need in terms of climate control, the temperature range, the cooling or heating type, and whether or not a product has smart features. And hopefully all of these options have given you plenty to consider. And with any luck, you finally found the one that's going to help you to sleep more soundly and wake up feeling rested. Because at the end of the day, literally, that's what's most important.